YouTube's original fake guru, Tai Lopez, is back and on his way to bankruptcy court as his latest business venture is on the verge of collapsing, losing $120 million of investor money. This is one of many ventures he wants you to know nothing about. From living with the Amish to Lamborghinis to now facing criminal charges, prepare for an injection of knowledge. Tai is the OG fake guru on YouTube. Think Andrew Tate, but with more hair and less misogyny. There was a time when you couldn't log into YouTube without Tai's "Here in my garage" ad popping out where he bragged about driving around the Hollywood Hills in his Lamborghinis, reading a book a day and instructing his Lamborghini-less viewers to visit his website so we can learn all from him how to gain more freedom units in our lives. But despite Tai's love for the finer things in life, he came from humble beginnings. He was born in Long Beach, California, in a low-income household and was raised by his mother and grandmother. In his early adult years, he spent time in India living in a leper colony and spent 2.5 years living with the Amish. But after realizing the Amish life was boring AF, he decided he wanted to get rich. So he made the natural transition from Amish man to finance bro. After dropping out of college in the early 2000s, he became a certified financial planner and worked at GE Capital in their wealth management division for a few years before setting up his own wealth management company called LLG Financial, which he ran until 2007. In fact, on Tai's LinkedIn, there's a pretty noticeable gap in his career between November 2007 and January 2016. So why is he so cagey about this time of his career? Well, in 2007, Tai made his first baby steps towards becoming the king of grifting by starting his mass market business, an online dating site called Elite Global Dating. He intended to create a platform for wealthy people to find a partner. This may have sounded good in practice, however, the online reviews from customers were pretty damning. Tai was charging customers without them even knowing, and not cancelling their memberships when they asked. Bit by bit, the negative reviews started to pour in, and every time the reviews got too bad, he just changed the website domain. It's kind of similar to how Kanye keeps changing his name. This is a tactic Tai has carried out with him throughout his career. He and his companies own hundreds of domains, including all of these. One of MMBA's favorites, parentsmeetonline.com, a website for swinging parents. But Tai was hooked on the idea of making money online, and these ventures were relatively harmless in comparison to what was to come next. During the height of his popularity, Tai released an array of online courses. Now you might be thinking, it's amazing for someone to be so knowledgeable across such an array of disciplines that they can teach courses in all of these areas, right? Well, he wasn't an expert on any of these, and this was exposed to the world when Tai, the real estate guru, decided to debate a hater and was asked a pretty simple question about real estate.
I'm actually curious about your real estate chops, all right? So give me the formula for a cap rate. Can you define what a cap rate is?
So let's talk about real estate for a second. Let's do
No. Define the formula of a cap rate.
It's like ROI in the stock market. They call it cap rate.
No, it's very similar. Formula.
Being a real estate investor and not knowing what the cap rate formula is, which is this, by the way, is a bit like being a pilot without knowing what a plane is. The truth is, the only course you should buy off Tai is a course on how to create an online course. Ultimately, Tai's course business helped him hone in on his core audience, the insight junkies of the internet. Insight junkies are people who always believe that they're just one book, program, or course away from finding the key insight that will make them rich or successful, and will forever read, watch, and consume more and more information rather than actually doing anything. It would be remiss of us not to bring up Tai's love of literature and how reading a book a day helped guide him to success in his life.
The more you learn, the more you earn.
But Tai's claim about reading a book a day is fake news, and his definition of reading a book leaves a lot to be desired. His love of books arguably came from his most successful business venture ever, MentorBox, a monthly subscription service where customers paid a monthly fee and are sent a new book each month to improve their financial and social life. In addition, they get access to exclusive video courses, no surprises there, workbooks and cheat sheets via a MentorBox website. He co-founded the business with entrepreneur and former NASA employee Alex Mayer, who also has a past in online dating, but was a little more successful than Tai was at it, Zeus selling for $300 million. We can see from slides released online back in 2018 that the business was actually doing quite well, with more than 45,000 active users and making millions of dollars per year. But despite all of his success, it still wasn't enough for Tai. So in 2019, he teamed up with his old pal, Alex Mayer, for his biggest scandal yet, one that may land him in criminal court. The business strategy was simple and on the face quite clever. Retail e-commerce ventures, which we'll call REV from now on, would purchase bankrupt retail brands and would transform them from aging brands with very high running costs into leaner, high-margin e-commerce juggernauts. Tai and his team went out to investors and raised more than $120 million and began buying up fledgling retail brands for pennies on the dollar, including Pier 1, which they acquired for $20 million, Tuesday Morning, which they acquired a controlling stake for $35 million, and the controlling interest in both RadioShack and bodybuilding.com. The plan was pretty solid, except there was one big problem. They had no idea what they were doing. Transitioning these brands to e-commerce companies was much more difficult than anticipated, and the company was burning cash while trying to rebuild these businesses. In 2021, REV made $120 million in sales and lost around $90 million. And in 2022, the company made $60 million, but also lost $60 million at the bottom line. And in the meantime, the company also racked up $200 million in debt for good measure. But to really get a sense for just how clueless the REV team were, we need to examine what they did with RadioShack. RadioShack had 8,000 stores across the US and sold electronic goods. In its heyday, it's the kind of spot your grandpa might have gone to pick up a new record player. So what did Tai and his team decide to do? They inexplicably decided to relaunch RadioShack as a cryptocurrency exchange and create RadioShack cryptocurrency coin. Not only this, but they created a new edgy persona for the brand and decided to drive attention to it by tweeting stuff like this, and this, and even this. Back in September 2022, the REV team knew based on the company's performance that they were in trouble. But instead of trying to actually fix the business operationally, they decided to just bring in new investment. The team started sending out solicitations to accredited investors to participate in a Zoom call, where they would pitch them a new investment opportunity. The emails were pretty bold, some might say illegal. One of these emails read, "Do you realize that for every 300,000 invested, we will send you 60k per year?" When investors give promises or guarantees of returns, that's when regulators start to stand up and take notice. Another major red flag suffered in early 2023 was when REV's portfolio companies Tuesday Morning filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, just months after Mayer and Lopez paid $35 million for the controlling stake in the Dallas-based chain in September 2022. Thereafter, they decided to hire the law firm Kirkland & Ellis to explore restructuring options, opening their books for a potential sale of all their assets at bankruptcy filing or Hail Mary financing, which is code for the business is fucked. As for Tai's investors, well, despite them wiring him hundreds of thousands of dollars, they are being completely ghosted by the entire team. They were pitched impossible returns, had their money lit on fire, and now they're being ghosted. A classic Tai Lopez scam. Now you may be thinking, Tai Lopez company is about to crash, so he's about to go bankrupt himself. Well, not exactly. Just because someone's company is in financial distress doesn't mean their personal fortune is in danger. REV's full name is actually Retail E-commerce Ventures LLC, and that LLC is very important here. LLC corporations in the United States are limited liability companies. The company is a distinct legal person in the eyes of the law, and its founders with its own assets. In the liquidation of a limited liability company, the owners only stand to lose initial capital they put into the business. That means Tai and Alex can only lose money from the money they put into the business. Their own personal assets are protected from angry creditors looking to get their money back. This is known as the corporate veil. That is unless it's determined in the court of law that fraud took place. If prosecutors were to determine that Tai and Alex fraudulently misled investors by promising them unrealistic returns, then Tai and Alex's personal assets could be brought into creditor proceedings and be seized and used to pay back investors. This is known as the piercing of the corporate veil. Legal proceedings are likely to take a long time, as it's almost impossible to know how the court will rule. But there is one thing we know with 100% certainty, and that's what the next book on Tai's never-ending reading list is. We like books. We love videos. Watch this video to see if Prime Energy can beat Red Bull.